The Christmas Star is a production that combines drama, dance, and animation to retell the story of the very first Christmas. This production involves hundreds of participants, volunteers, and directors, all with the unified goal to spread Christmas cheer. Around the beginning of August, I was asked by the lead director of the program if I would be willing to create an animation for the production. After looking through all of the details and specifications, I agreed to the task and was titled Animation Director for the rest of the project. I was in charge of designing two stars, New Star and Old Star, who narrate events that are staged throughout the entirety of the production. I first read through the draft of the script at the time to get a good feel for New and Old Star's character, imagining how they would react to unfolding events through their voice and body actions. This helped me to ideate the base structure of the stars themselves and how their bodies and faces move. I then digitally sketched and painted out a few different concepts of both New Star and Old Star, displaying multiple color schemes and different style options. A meeting was held soon after with the head and video directors to go over the concepts and choose a final design. Though I concepted New Star as a girl, it wasn't until after voice talent was found that New Star's design was changed to resemble that of a boy. I was there with the head director during the voice recording to give a few tips and a bit of direction to the actors on expression and emphasis, sharing some of my ideas on how I would be animating the stars at specific times. Working with the sound editor to chop up and piece the recorded audio together allowed me to begin the process of structuring the overall animation. Using my concepts as reference, I began digitally sculpting the stars in a program called ZBrush. I began with Old Star and used the base of him to build out New Star. I wanted to stay as true to the concept as I could. One of the biggest challenges for me, I think, was figuring out how to topologically structure the stars. Most of their body is also their face, so I needed to make sure that the topology supported both complex facial expressions and body warping to create believable and lively characters. I thought about rigging control points for different parts of the face to use for animation, but I ultimately decided on using morph or blend targets in order to switch between eye states, mouth vowels and consonants, and overall emotional states. This allowed for a more quick and efficient animation workflow and seemed more appropriate for the simple nature of the animation itself. Because this was an animation that played during live drama, and the stars were scripted to react to the things happening on stage, I wanted to make sure that they were looking in the exact location where the actors were performing.
The angel said to them,
"Do not be afraid, for I bring you wonderful."
To do this, I asked for a top-down blueprint of the stage, and I used this image in my 3D software, 3ds Max, to place the stars approximately where the screen on stage is located, as well as some helper boxes where on-stage action takes place, so that I know where to make the stars look. There are parts in the production where the stars don't really say anything, but are just like watching everything that's going on. I decided to create a 5-second clip of both Old and New Star floating back and forth slowly and blinking once. and made sure to make their last position of the clip the exact same as their first position in order to make it seamlessly loopable. This creates an easy and smooth transition between every part of the animation, and leaves room for error just in case anything unexpected happens on stage. Like if an actor forgets their line and there is a 10-second pause, the clip can be looped as many more times as it takes until all the lines are said and the time for the next part of the animation begins. The entire space environment that the stars are seen in was done entirely in post-production. The slight black to blue gradient in the background to smaller stars filling the space, and even the glow of old and new star were all applied after I rendered out the images of old and new star from 3ds Max. Attempting to do these effects in a 3D software would have greatly increased rendering times and would not have allowed for easy customization. Like the time warping segments, right?
Let's go!
Those would have been very difficult to get right if I were to do it that way. The entire process from start to finish took about 440 hours of work, with 250 of those hours being nothing but rendering time, using 2 computers. With a few render passes per frame, it totaled to about 700 gigs of images alone. There were about 4 tech rehearsals before the actual performance, and I was there for each one testing the animation on the large screen it was to be played on. I was told that I would be operating everything that shows up on the large screen throughout most of the program, which meant that I myself would be cueing in each part of the animation when it's time. To do this, I had to learn a new program called Arena and figure out how to smoothly transition between each animation part on cue in real time. There were about 10 to 15 of us that made up the tech team, and being in a booth with many of them, I was able to communicate certain ideas that improved the overall experience of the program. I also received lots of feedback on the animation and different techniques I could use to enhance specific parts during the production. A little while before the first tech rehearsal, I was asked if I would be interested in being in a part of the production, playing a drum for one of the first dance numbers. Being a drummer and a percussionist since I was 2, I couldn't deny the opportunity. So I was given a cool costume to wear and a cool bass drum to play for the program. Immensely, not only because I had the chance to express myself musically, but I also had the chance to talk and interact with many of the actors, singers, and children who performed in the production. Wearing 2 hats made this experience all the more interesting because I had to make sure I was physically in the correct place at the correct time, or else the production could experience some technical difficulties. There was literally like 1 minute between the time I exit the stage to the time I needed to be in the tech booth to run the animation, so my costume change had to be pretty quick, to say the least. Let's go. I took this job for many different reasons. The entire project was a great challenge in which I applied much of the knowledge I've gained throughout my career so far. I learned so many tools, tricks, and techniques that have helped to further my understanding and artistry, though for me it was mainly the fact that my animation was part of something greater than just myself that I accepted this job. Working with the tech crew, interacting with the performers, connecting with the kids, everyone was together and unified under the same goal. Everyone's efforts combined to not only grow in the personal sense, but to change the lives of those who witness the program.
Honestly, the animation that you saw with the 2 stars was created by one of our very own college students who attends Resurrection Life Church here. He's a student at Ferris State. It's Kenton Reynolds. Want to give it up for Kenton Reynolds for doing this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful animation. So gifted. It's so cool to see God using him in that way.
It was a fantastic experience. And I truly look forward to working on more large projects in the near future.